I'm Michael Burke, and this is Money Talks. Hi, today we're going to be talking about a really important topic, which we're calling the Art and Science of Business Recruitment, with Jenny Trick, Executive Director of Racine County Economic Development Corporation. So thanks for being on the show. I know it took you a while to get things squared away where you could come to the show. And of course, we'll call that RCEDC from this point forward. Save us a lot of time. But we're also going to talk about you could argue it's equally or maybe even more important, which is business retention and expansion, which our CEDC is heavily involved in. And just by sheer coincidence, today you announced one. So why don't you just mention that one, and then we'll talk about business retention and expansion.
Yeah, so I mean, you had mentioned it, and it's actually very clear that we believe, as well as a lot of economic development organizations, that business retention expansion is equally, if not more, important than business recruitment, because you have to take care of your companies that are here and give them every assurance that the investment that they've already made here is important, and we want to support them in that respect. So Priority Signs is the company that you're referring to. They just did an expansion in the village of Caledonia, in the Caledonia Business Park. A couple of our staff members
just announced an expansion.
No, they actually had the grand opening. So they had,
really?
Yeah, they announced.
Well, that
the
was
announcement.
quietly done.
Yeah, so a couple of village officials and a couple of our staff went over and enjoyed the new facility. So they just opened it. They're just moving in some of their product into it. So it's a great story. It's a company that started much like a lot of small companies, where in the garage of somebody's home, they just started this company, and it's now since grown to a very good-sized company, and they're continuing to grow with this expansion. So it's a good project.
And that'll be another 14 jobs. Have they actually added some of those, do you know?
I think those are going to be more future jobs.
Okay.
Since the project was just literally completed, the building expansion, now the clock will start, so to speak. And the clock, as we're referencing, is all relating to incentives. So I know that's a topic that you want to talk about, but with this particular company, as well as many others, when they're proposing an expansion, they often contact either their municipality or our CDC and ask what financial resources or incentives are available to encourage this development to occur here versus another location they may be considering. And so in that respect, Laura Million of our staff that heads up the business development division, specifically for business recruitment and expansion, met with a company and talked with them about the programs that are available. And in the end, they were able to receive some incentive assistance from the village of Caledonia specifically.
From the tax increment finance
Correct.
district?
Correct.
And so how did that one begin? Do you know? Obviously, these expansion projects are always fueled by growth. They need something they don't have right now. And did the company come to RCEDC first, or talk to the village first?
Yeah, I mean, in this case, the company came to the organization, RCDC, and that's how a lot of them do. And one of the reasons that they do is as a result of a CEO call program that we started back in 2011, where in our work plan, we have a requirement as staff that we need to meet with X amount of companies a year.
What is that number?
In the business development division, it's 100.
Okay.
So we set out a map as to how many companies we want to contact, how do we determine who we want to contact, and what's the pathway to get there. And so on an annualized basis, we identify a target list of companies. We try to make it geographically spread out, so to speak. So we're touching Burlington companies as well as Racine companies. But at the end of the year, when we're evaluating where we are, it is really based on who has the time or the willingness to meet with us. But much of what we learn about these companies, we can either help them with immediate needs that they have, or when we're doing our recruitment, some of these new companies that we're trying to recruit in are looking for introductions to other potential suppliers or customers. So it's very important for us to know who's here, take care of our companies that are here and assist them in any way that we can.
And so this one actually started with one of these CEO calls?
Just was a contact. It wasn't as a result directly of that call program, but it was a contact from the company directly.
Mm-hmm. So what are some of the things that an existing company would be looking for that it doesn't have now? Clearly more space. In this case, I don't know what the amount of space it was, but are there other things they need? Financing help for new equipment, perhaps, or something?
Yeah, I mean, it can go in any direction. It's really from that point of discovery, when the company contacts us, it's our responsibility to understand, what does the project include? Is it a building expansion? Is it equipment purchase? Is it jobs that are going to be either retained, being a threat to leave the area entirely, or is it going to be new jobs created as a result of the new investment? And from that discovery process, then, we as staff try to figure out, what are the resources that are available? And so then we introduce that to the company. There are low-interest financing programs, there are tax credit programs from the state, there's potentially local incentives, there's Racine County resources, and so it's our responsibility to inform them based on the project that they've included or informed us of, to figure out what resources are available. And some of them are a match and some of them are not. This particular company is an ESOP. So the tax credit program,
let's explain that.
It's an employee stock ownership program, so the employee-owned company. So this particular company would not really benefit from the tax credit program from the state because those tax credits flow to the members of the ESOP. But they could benefit from the tax increment district, which Caledonia recently completed, as a result of the new tax revenue increment that will be realized from the building expansion. Caledonia agreed to give a portion of that back to the company as an incentive over a number of years.
Yeah, the city of Racine has done a similar thing too, with property taxes. Let's move on to recruitment, which uses a lot of the same tools, and as the retention and expansion. And why don't you start by talking about site selectors? You use that term a lot. What are those people, or what are they doing?
Site selectors are the front line for a lot of companies that are trying to figure out their next location. Either a location that they're trying to penetrate as a new market, or they've outgrown their current location wherever that might be, and they want to get into a new market, get closer to a customer, get closer to a supplier. The site selectors are those people that try to assemble all the information that the company is looking for, and they are the ones that have contact with organizations such as RCDC.
And what information are they looking for?
It varies. Basically what they try to do is they will create what's called a request for information document, and it can vary anywhere from 2 pages to 40 pages, depending on the level of assistance they're looking for from us. Some site selectors will do a lot of due diligence on their own, and they'll go online and they'll pull the data, and some will look to the economic development organizations to do that on their behalf.
Yeah, you did mention to me previously that sometimes there's a lot going on in the background before you even hear about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's so much data that's available online. You can go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, you can go to the census, you can go to a variety of different resources to get a lot of the information, plus organizations are also putting a lot of stuff on their website. Here's what our labor market looks like, here's all the business parks that are available, here's the land prices per square foot and such. And so a lot of the information is being gathered without us even knowing about it, but when we've actually gotten to the point where perhaps our location is being seriously considered, it's been culled down to the point where now Racine County is an area of consideration, then they'll make contact with us, introduce the request for information document to us, and ask us to complete it.
Why don't we talk about that in part 2?
Okay.
We're with Jenny Trick, Executive Director of RCEDC, and we're talking about the art and science of business recruitment. Please join us next time.